A Big Mistake. A retelling of O. Henry's The Ransom of Red Chief. Part 3. The Final Chapter. I folded the kidnapping letter into an envelope and addressed it to Dorset. As I was about to start for the village, the kid came up to me and said, "Snake Eye, you said I could play Apocalypse Courier while you was gone." "Play it, of course," I said. "Mr. Bill will play with you." "What kind of game is it?" "I'm the Apocalypse Courier," said Doom Raptor, "and I have to deliver the antidote to the survivors' camp before the whole human race is wiped out. I'm tired of being a warlord. I want to be the courier." "All right," I said. "It sounds harmless to me. I guess Mr. Bill will help you save the human race." "What am I supposed to do?" asked Bill, looking at the kid suspiciously. "You are the Land Rover," said the Apocalypse Courier. "Get down on your hands and knees, so that I can ride." "How can I ride to the survivors' camp without a rover?" "You'd better keep him interested," I said, "till we get this scheme going. Just loosen up, Bill." He got down on all fours and had a big-eyed look like a wild rabbit has when the cat gets out the door. "How far is it to the survivors' camp, kid?" 90 miles, said the Apocalypse Courier. "And you have to hustle to get there before the virus does." "Whoa now!" The Apocalypse Courier jumped on Bill's back and dug his heels into his sides. "For heaven's sake," said Bill. "Hurry back, Sam, as soon as you can. I wish we hadn't made the ransom more than 1,000. Say, quit kicking me, or I'll get up and warm you up good." I walked over to Poplar Cove and sat around the gas station and the coffee counter, talking with the locals who came in. One old-timer said he'd heard Summit was all upset on account of the Dorset's boy having been lost or stolen. That was all I wanted to know. I bought some scratch tickets and an energy drink, mentioned the price of soybeans in passing, mailed my letter quietly, and left. The postmaster said the mail carrier would come by in an hour to take the mail on to Summit. When I got back to the cabin, Bill and the boy were nowhere to be found. I explored the area around the cabin, looked in the woods and down the road, even risked a yodel or two, but there was no response. So I sat down on a mossy bank to await developments. In about half an hour, I heard the bushes rustle, and Bill wobbled out into the clearing in front of the cabin. Behind him, some 20 paces, was the kid, stepping softly like a scout, with a broad grin on his face. Bill stopped, took off his hat, and wiped his face with a red handkerchief. The kid stopped about 8 feet behind him. "Sam," said Bill, "I suppose you'll think it was wrong of me, but I couldn't help it. I'm a grown man with grown man needs in life, and there comes a time when self-respect has to be preserved. I must tell you," he said, holding his hat, "the boy is gone. I sent him home. It's all off. I simply couldn't take it any longer. I tried to stay loyal to the terms of our criminal partnership, but there's a limit." "What's the trouble, Bill?" I asked him. "I was ridden," he said, "the 90 miles to the survivors' camp, not missing an inch of it. Then, when the human race was saved, I was given oats. Well, it wasn't oats, it was sand. And sand is not a tasty substitute. And then, for an hour, I had to try to explain to him why there's nothing in holes, how a road can run both ways, and why the Wi-Fi doesn't just fall out of the sky. I tell you, Sam, a human can only stand so much. I took him by the collar and dragged him down the mountain. On the way, he kicked my legs black and blue from the knees down, and I've got 2 or 3 bites on my thumb and a hand that'll need attending. But he's gone," Bill continued. "Gone home. I showed him the road to Summit and kicked him about 8 feet closer to it in one kick. I'm sorry we will lose the ransom, but it was either that or Bill Driscoll loses his mind for good." Bill was puffing and blowing, but there was a look of perfect peace and growing contentment on his pink face. Bill, I said, there isn't any heart disease in your family. You know, heart attack stuff? No, said Bill. Nothing chronic except malaria and random accidents. Why? Then you might turn around, I said, and have a look behind you. Bill turned and saw the apocalypse courier behind him. His face went pasty white, sat down hard on the ground, and began to pluck aimlessly at grass and little sticks. Tears came to his eyes. I let him be that way for an hour, and then I told him my plan was to push the whole job through immediately, and that we would get the ransom and be gone with it by midnight, if old Dorset went along with our proposition. So Bill braced up enough to give the kid a weak sort of smile and a promise to play the final boss in a video game war with him as soon as he felt a little better. The tree's underbrush, which the answer was to be left, and the money later on, was close to the road fence, with big bare fields on all sides. If a gang of deputies were watching for anyone to come for the note, they could see him a long way off crossing the fields or coming up the road. But no, sir. At 8:30, I was up in that tree, hidden as well as a tree frog, waiting for the messenger to arrive. Exactly on time, a half-grown boy rode up the road on an electric scooter, located the cardboard box at the foot of the fence post, slipped a folded piece of paper into it, and glided away again back towards Summit. I waited an hour and then concluded the coast was clear. I slid down the tree, got the note, slipped along the fence till I reached the woods, and was back at the cabin in another half hour. I opened the note, got near the lantern, and read it to Bill. It was written with a pen in a cramped hand, and the sum and substance of it was this. Gentlemen, I received your letter today by mail regarding the ransom you asked for the return of my son. I think your demands are a little high, and I hereby make you a counteroffer, which I am inclined to believe you will find quite acceptable. You bring our Johnny home and pay me $250 in cash, and I will agree to take him off your hands. You had better come at night, because the neighbors believe he is lost, and I couldn't be responsible for what they would do to anybody they saw bringing him back. Very respectfully, Franklin Dorset. P.S. I also accept payment by app, if that is more convenient for you gentlemen. Of all the nerve, but I glanced at Bill and hesitated. He had the most pleading look in his eyes I ever saw on the face of any creature, man or beast. Sam, he said, what's $250 after all? We've got the money. One more night of this kid will put me in a padded room. Besides being a thorough gentleman, I think Mr. Dorset is being downright generous making us such an offer. You aren't going to let the chance go, are you? Tell you the truth, Bill, I said. This little lamb has gotten on my nerves, too. We'll take him home, pay the ransom, and make our getaway. We took him home that night. We got him to go by telling him that his father had bought him a four-wheeler and a camera drone, and that we were going to hunt wild hogs who loved eating children the next day. It was exactly 12 o'clock when we knocked at Dorset's front door, just at the moment when I should have been collecting $1,500 from the box under the tree, according to the original proposition. Bill was counting out $250 into Dorset's hand. When the kid found out we were going to leave him at home, he started up a howl like a car alarm and fastened himself as tight as a leech to Bill's leg. His father peeled him away gradually. "How long can you hold him?" asked Bill. "I'm not as strong as I used to be," said old Dorset, "but I think I can promise you 10 minutes. "That's enough," said Bill. "In 10 minutes, I'll cross the central, southern, and middle western states and be running hard for the Canadian border. And as dark as it was, and as heavy as Bill was, and as good a runner as I am, he was a good mile and a half out of Summit before I could catch up with him."